Yo, 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 what is up, everyone? Welcome to another Tales of Web3, Season 3, Episode 11. Today, our guest is Annabelle, the co-founder and CEO of Altius. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be sharing more about myself and Altius today.
That's awesome. To start, obviously, congrats on the fundraising lately. Amazing backers and very ambitious missions, I would say, what you guys are building.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. The first question, obviously, can you please tell us a little bit more about like yourself and how you jump into the crypto rabbit hole? I know you have like a TradFi background, right? Also, please share a little bit more about like has that background helped you in any way while you're building in crypto, right? Because like I feel like crypto folks when they talk about TradFi, they usually think it's a negative thing, if you know what I mean. But actually, the dopest founders I know, like Jeff, right, building Hyperliquid and just a bunch of other like they're from Wall Street background, same as you, and I think this definitely gives them some edge, you know. So like if you can talk about that a little bit as well, that would be great.
For sure. For sure. I mean, fun fact, Jeff actually worked briefly with my co-founders here at LTS that hasn't been trading
Oh,
together.
nice.
So myself, I came from more of a sell side investment banking background. Was on the sales and trading side, mostly looking at FX options and derivatives and structuring. To your point, I definitely think some experience with not even just TradFi, but within some bigger platform, bigger institution is definitely helpful. It was great rigid training for 2 to 3 years. You, as a fresh grad, I was able to get in front of the PMs at major hedge funds, real money funds, or even big corporates, and be able to trade with them and remain professional no matter what happens, how to deal with your colleagues on the trading floor. There's like tons of personalities, being able to pay attention to detail at all times, handle stress, the kind of mental training. I think that's actually pretty perfect to set you up for crypto, which is pretty high stress all the time, lots of volatility.
24/7.
Exactly. I used to joke because in FX it's a 24/5 market versus equity market. You have your open and close every
Yeah.
day. So I thought that was already the toughest lifestyle until I got into crypto and I said, wow, there's 24/7 and there is really nonstop. But yeah, I am thankful for my TradFi training. And also the people I got to meet. There are a lot of my ex-colleagues at Deutsche Bank and other financial institutions that ended up in crypto as well. So I think it definitely just shows that crypto itself has become a lot more
Nice.
institutional as well. But yeah, back to your general question. I think I talked a little bit about how I started my career in Wall Street after college. But I actually went to a quite technical college and I'm very grateful for that. So at Carnegie Mellon, most of my friends are computer science majors. I was
Great
studying
school.
math and finance. So grateful for that alumni network, especially within crypto. I definitely have CMU to thank for how I got into crypto in the first place too. So
Are you a CS
when I was
major?
working, no, I was math and finance. So
That's extremely hardcore too.
yeah, I should have learned more coding. Well, I guess now with AI, maybe no need. But grateful for the friends I made within CS. A lot of them are crypto founders now. It's always great to have that network. But even back on campus, we got the first exposure to Bitcoin and talks of white paper through my CS friends who were looking into it more, not as an asset, but more as a distributed system technology and cryptography. Um, and even when I was a dojo on the trading floor, was talking to fellow traders about Bitcoin and then Ethereum when Ethereum came
Nice.
along.
That was back in
Um,
2016, somewhere around
yeah,
that.
2016, and then obviously in 2017, everything blew up.
The
Because of the
ICO
tutorial.
era.
I know. I was helping some of my traders on the desk trying to open a GDAX account as opposed to Coinbase and stuff, and like pay percentage on the fees. Anyway, that was a great experience. But I never considered a career, a full time career in crypto until I met the AirSwap team in New York. So AirSwap was one of the first generation decentralized exchanges on Ethereum. It was part of the
Oh,
consensus spoke. It was founded by two CMU alumni as well, and I got to know them socially in New York, and it was just such a crack team.
nice.
Besides the founders having successfully exited their previous businesses and careers, also we have early employees at Spotify, and that was after they direct listed in 2016. A lot of good people, left to pursue new opportunities. So um, to me, it was just also the right time after a couple of years on the trading desk, thinking, what's next, and if this is the right time to take a leap of faith and try something new. And I'm very glad that I did. So yeah, fell down the crypto rabbit hole early 2018,
What
joining
is the
the AirSwap
biggest
team.
thing? Sorry to interrupt, but what is the biggest one single thing, if you can remember, that made you decided to change, decided to go crypto full time?
I think it was really the AirSwap team, the people. I recognized their first of all, there is the CMU connection, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
everyone is just has such successful careers and started looking at building on Ethereum. I had no idea that you can actually build things on top of. I thought it was just something simple like
Yeah.
how you trade. So that really opened my eyes, and the team really got along well. And to me, I think there's also another driver of seeking new experiences. It's kind of, I don't know if I should say this, but life on trading floor, yes, is volatile, but there's a very fixed structure, right? It's a couple of years as analyst, associate, and then VP, and
Yes,
then MD,
the
and
promotion
then
always
yeah,
take a certain years.
and then it's a very rigid process. I'm sure there are a lot of opportunities, but I wanted to be at a much more level playing field, where you don't nobody comes in with 20 years of experience, right? Just because the industry stuff is so new, and
Love
I
that.
had the sense I'll be able to get a lot more experiences out of it, and yeah, I definitely got what I wished for.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And after AirSwap, that's the journey of Ember kicks in, right? Tell us a little bit
Correct.
more about how did you join, and after like 6 years, right? You left as like the managing partner, right? That must been extremely interesting journey for you.
I feel like an hour is not enough to cover everything, but yes. So at Airsoft, because it's actually quite interesting. You can think of Airsoft as probably the first generation sort of like RFQ model decks. That was the era before AMMs. So the design actually relied pretty heavily on market makers to provide pricing. Um, but the challenge was that most of the trading shops are barely just getting onto centralized exchanges and navigating all of the
Yes.
infra there back then. And if you remember, that was the era where top exchanges like Huobi, OK, um, would or BitMEX sometimes, yeah, it just the whole um, trading engine or order book would just go down, and then there's no recourse. So I think most trading shops are still trying to navigate that and wasn't really paying that much attention for on-chain opportunities. So actually, I moved from New York to Hong Kong to try to look for more risk-seeking capital and traders who are willing to uh, trade on-chain, because the bottleneck was really around on-chain liquidity for AirSwap and DeFi in
Yes.
general. Um, I grew up near Hong Kong, so it was nice to get back to this side of the world. So that's when I met the Amber folks. We have incredibly similar background. All went to university in the U.S., worked in Wall Street for a couple of years. Most of them worked in Hong Kong when I was in New York. And all traded fixed income products, and then pivoted to crypto. Um, and I would say one of the Amber co-founders, Tian TT, was probably the only one that I was speaking at that point that actually paid attention to DeFi, and we had hours longs of conversations around it.
That
And
was
that's
early, right? Back in
yeah.
20.
That was when I think Amber was also just or the few of them started Amber actually trading a bit more traditional equities market as well, like FX
Yeah.
before, full-time crypto. So I was trying to convince them to look at the DeFi angle and then realize actually we should just join forces and build Amber into the liquidity provider for not just centralized exchange opportunities, but also on-chain venue. So I think that was actually a good positioning that allowed us to actually capture a lot of value and incubate new ideas during the 2020 DeFi summer. So
Nice.
yeah, in retrospect, it was it was definitely another interesting pivot for me. To go back to more of the trading routes to focus on the more immediate bottleneck, which is around liquidity. And that was 6 years ago, if you can believe it.
Time flies. Time flies. And but yet after the 6 years, right now you become a founder, right? You become a founder last year, right? Building
Yes,
Altius. What is
yes, I
the
would
we'll
say
definitely we'll definitely talk about the company and the vision, but like, what do you think is the reason why you decided to become a founder, right? I'm really curious about like the mindset or change, right? How did that happen? Does that happen like in one day? You just realize, okay, I gotta do this, or there's like a gradual process. You gradually realize probably I'm the right person to solve this problem, right? Where to build this engine, right? That makes all the chains a lot more faster, right? So how
I
this
think
happen?
there's I think there's actually probably many years coming. AirSwap being able to be a part of a very early stage team. I really enjoy that 0 to 1 building with a focus more on chain. That was really why I got into crypto in the first place. At Amber, I think a lot of people forgot because Amber is now a much bigger platform.
Yes.
But at Amber, we also had to build every business line from scratch. So I had many opportunities of the 0 to 1 building of new business lines within Amber. So Amber started more as a prop shop,
Yes.
just trading, capturing arbitrage opportunities um, in the market, and then by request of our investors and LPs, we started offering more similar to kind of investment banking type sales and trading services, so OTC services, um, market making for tokens or on exchanges, and continue to run the asset management part as well. Um, and over the last cycle, actually expanded to many more businesses. We tried to build an app and a web portal for our clients to trade directly. So I actually
Like
got
a
to build
DAX.
that product more like more more like a wealth management platform
Okay. Okay.
with
Okay.
trading functions. So I got to build that product
Nice.
from scratch as well. And also we at Amber set up a venture fund just to be able to meet earlier stage founders. So really, because across secondary market, across venture, even like incubation, I think at Amber we've really done it all. And I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to really set up businesses, hire teams from 0 to 1, and I really enjoy that process. Um, and with Altius, it is almost my quest to um, go back to building on chain again, because 6 years at Amber, I think we've done a phenomenal job. I think the industry has come a long way, and liquidity is no longer the bottleneck, at least for now, for
Agreed.
the type of DeFi activity you want to do. Right? There's enough incentives. We're
100%.
seeing the big names HFT names, prop shops already in the game. So what's really next? And if you're looking at what we have so far, we're still a bit far from having the actual a decentralized on-chain centralized exchange experience. On-chain Binance.
I think Hyperliquid's trying, right? But it's still not quite there yet.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I guess Jeff and us have similar ideas, but he obviously started building a little earlier. Then I started thinking about, okay, what is needed to be built before we can actually get to a point where there is fully decentralized on-chain Binance that doesn't sacrifice user UI UX for the sake of being on-chain or being decentralized. So I've been thinking a lot about just on-chain trading infrastructure, and then inevitably led to research around high performance. And also at the same time, just last year, I was in Hong Kong, ran into another friend of mine from Carnegie Mellon who also worked at Hudson River Trading before getting involved in crypto. And he mentioned that he was looking at a new project with one of his ex-boss at Hudson River Trading, essentially, who can bring him decades of experience around building high-performance distributed systems that are battle-tested and have printed a lot of money over the years. And then for them, it's a new challenge to be able to leverage a lot of what they've done in the past, but apply to a more decentralized system, even more distributed system like crypto and blockchain. And for me, it was exactly the technical co-founders I needed to really dive deep into solving the infrastructure gap with I think certain application or sectors in mind that we could also have opportunities to either build or co-build or invest in. So that's really how Altius.
This is pretty smooth, actually. It's definitely not happening in a day, right? It's a period of time where you want to build this. You remind the right person, and you guys decided to build something.
Exactly. And the founder part, I guess, I felt like I've been in founder mode for a long time. Obviously, at Amber, there are a lot more co-founders and much bigger teams, and now it's more of a mature business. And I was glad that I could leave and leave in good shape, in good hands. But I think with Altius or with any new venture, it's a new challenge. Again, I love it and I'm terrified at the same time. But I think
that's the fun part.
It really is the fun part. The challenge of how to build a good team and continue to drive your vision forward, even though markets could be difficult or changing any second. And but I think that is all part of what we love to do.
That's awesome. The best founders survive the bear and thrive in the bull, and that's you guys. What I believe.
Yeah, one thing that I've learned really is survival is key. There's enough optionality or volatility in the space that as long as you survive, you'll always be able to come out on top.
That's awesome. Yeah, since we already talked about like Altius, I wanted to share this with you. That's my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. And basically, we just wanted our audience to learn exactly what you guys are building, right? So from my understanding, you guys are building a super fast engine that can somehow optimize the execution layer of whatever blockchains out there. Ethereum, Solana, L1s, L2s, and some like if the infra is ready, right? The chains can plug, or the developers themselves, they can plug in this super fast engine on top of any chain that they're building, and they just become super fast. They can build apps like a on-chain Binance, right, without sacrificing any of the user experience. Is that what you guys are building? And what else?
That's spot on. Wow, I am impressed because we've always struggled with how to explain, because sometimes we can get into the more technical nitty-gritty, but the vision is that we build a super performance engine that's compatible with any VM so that we can support any blockchains that need it. I recognize that maybe not all chains would need that, but I really want to bet on the app chain future. So for the applications, I'm looking to have Web2 parity level performance and UI UX without having to spend years and tons of money and resource to build that themselves. We want to provide this to them and future proof any chain that needs this.
Got it. I guess like if you talk about that, then obviously the question that some people have is if you're only building this for Ethereum, obviously that makes sense, right? Because Ethereum is slow. It's really slow. There's no way you can build like high performance like apps. But like if you go to Solana, if you go to like Move or like these chains using Move language, sometimes I think people will think, okay, they probably don't need this, right? Because the chain's already fast enough. What do you think about this? Do you have like any counter argument?
I think 2 points. One is yes, we are starting with EVM because that is probably the biggest market share and the most of benefit that
Agreed.
we can
Agreed.
bring. But there is, if you're looking at the fat protocol to fat application thesis, then for the app chains, are they going to build on Solana? Well, I guess Solana's going for more of a monolithic chain route.
Yes.
It's going to be built on top of the Move or Move EM or Cosmos Stack, right? I think that still remain to be seen. And when we're designing our own framework, we realize that a lot of the performance improvements and modules we're building is not just relying on EVM semantics, meaning that we actually can build in what we call an interpreter module to transpile other VMs as well. But yes, we have to make strategic decisions on which EVM or which VMs to expand into after EVM. So that's more of a technical architecture design. And second of all, the way that we're able to optimize performance is not just purely introducing parallel execution to the VMs, but a large part of it is actually around state management. So even if you are Solana, you could one day also run into state bloat, and how do you more effectively manage that? So we actually improve the efficiency of state read and writes, and reduce some of the costs for storage, and eventually could help manage state bloat as well. So there is that technical aspect. But to your question, yes, I think we are very focused on EVM now. The next interesting area to tackle could even be Cosmos Stack, just because a lot of the app chains.
I like Cosmos chains, especially a lot of the app chains are actually using the Cosmos stack.
It is a great stack. Well, we don't have to talk about Atom and the price, but yeah, Cosmos Stack itself.
I agreed. I agreed.
Great.
Anything else than the price is really great. I would say extremely bullish. And yes, I think the tech is pretty sexy. But what is the hardest thing you guys have to solve right now? Is it the tech themselves? Is it the go to market? What is it?
I think yes. The go to market is not easy. I think we talked about Cosmos maybe not being the best example of having a great stack that people use, but it is built on a very decentralized ethos with governance, and obviously they've been around for a long time, right? So I think the founders didn't want to necessarily be too commercial around Cosmos Stack itself. Um, but I think that mindset or paradigm has shifted. We're obviously seeing a lot more the OP Stack or equivalent type businesses, and the different business models that people are experimenting on. So for us, go to market is one of the biggest challenge, but also the most fun to figure out. Essentially, I want to find out if there is a way to build a good to build a protocol with actual usage that brings actual benefit to the different partner chains, but figure out also a good value accrual, good business model to back to Altius ourselves. I think it's actually quite interesting that I think now after more than a decade, investors, users are paying more attention to the actual business models of the different protocols.
I
Gone are the
agree.
days where you're just an L1 and you need to
Hundred
be
millions of dollars.
multi-million dollars. Yeah. So that's why because at Amber, I felt this very strongly. Most of the more sustainable businesses are exchanges, extremely cash flow positive.
Hundred
The
percent.
mining businesses, also cash flow businesses. Even like OTC desk, right? We've been cash flow positive from day one. So and then there are a lot of successful Web2 companies. They're kind of like the middleware or the SaaS model, but have really nailed that business model, and the market reward them with, I think, a valuation that makes sense. So is it the right time for us to try to do that in Web3? I guess we'll see.
I'm going to put my bet on you guys, and let's see.
Okay.
Imagine division or the tech is really there, right? And there's also go-to-market and everything. What are some of the innovations that you're really, really looking forward to see besides the on-chain finance, right? That you think that are excited for you?
Yeah, so as we were doing research and brainstorming about, I guess, the end game of what the LTS framework can achieve, obviously we can power individual chains and provide high performance. But we realized that we can go even a step further and horizontally integrate these execution engines into a shared execution layer.
Shared execution layer.
Yeah, so similar to, it's a difficult concept to grasp. We're still kind of iterating on.
Yeah, I'm non-technical, so it's a great time to educate someone like me.
Yeah,
Completely.
so essentially, then you can think of Altius being a sort of almost like a remote or virtual chain that connects all of the various execution engines that powers execution for other chains, and then being able to actually explore interoperability and other interesting features at the execution level directly. It is definitely going to be a technical uplift, but we think it is possible. So essentially, me being one of the on-chain users, I am tired of managing many different wallets, bridging through different bridges.
I hated it.
Slippage, right? And then being at Amber, we are one of the market makers or solvers on chain, and it's actually still quite difficult to manage inventory cross chain. And we always have to worry about the risk of bridges.
Using a bridge, 100%.
Yeah, and then and that reflects in the price we can quote accordingly. So ultimately, users end up paying the price for the inefficiency of cross-chain infrastructure. I think there are a lot of amazing teams that are tackling cross-chain infrastructure, but still within maybe different silos. You can think of EVM interoperability, but how do you interrupt? Like, for example, during meme coin trading, you have Solana, then you have Base, and then I'm trying to find the best way to bridge across, or even then on Hyperliquid, that's another chain. Are there ways to do that more natively, more efficiently, that ultimately really improves the UI UX and the pricing that the end users will see? So one of the ambitious end goals we have is to be able to build the LTS stack into a shared execution layer, and
It
try to
is
bring interoperability.
by shared execution layer, do you mean by somehow there's an interoperability between, let's say, a SCVM, like Solana virtual machine, and like
It could be,
Ethereum
for
EVM
example.
chain?
Yes, well, I think depends on the network that we would have at that point. Say we have the EVM instances, and then we also have Cosmos stack, so Cosmo Wasm or Wasm, and maybe we expand to even SVM and MoveVM, and we have the partner chains already in our stack. The high level idea is to be able to horizontally integrate these. So, for example, if Base is using us and Solana is using
If
us.
I'm buying a meme coin on Base.
Exactly, right. So when you're buying something, it really is the smart contract gets executed, and the new state gets reflected So essentially, then your account gets credited or deducted, right?
Yes.
So any trading, any swap, any of these activities are just state differences after execution. So for us, if we're able to update the states of both chain A and chain B, and execute that through our shared execution layer, then effectively that's a cross-chain swap if we're able to update both chains state directly.
A lot more faster.
And that doesn't rely on bridges or anything else. It's more native at the protocol level. Of course, I am overly generalizing how this could happen. There's obviously the different components, right? When it comes to you still need to go through consensus for finality, confirmation, and the security. But what's interesting is at least we have a chance at tackling probability in a true cross-chain fashion more directly, and then being able to manage further, I guess, dynamic load as well. So when you have an extreme congestion on Solana and maybe on Base at the same time because of meme coins. Right now, they only run their own set of it's only their own set of validators.
Yes.
That's difficult to balance, but in the Web2 world, for example, Netflix, when everybody or HBO, when everybody is tuning into the same show, they actually have a lot more dynamic load balancing that happens in the background by spinning up new data servers, whatnot. So we can even be that service. As part of high performance execution, part of load balancing during peak traffic, and interoperability.
I think that makes sense, especially like if we even talk about like how fast Solana is. Still, when Trump came, like there's still tons of
I know my
transactions.
transactions like
That's
failed all
exactly
the
what I
time.
felt. You know what I mean? I try to bridge some things USDC and Base to Sol, not working. I try to move my funds from Binance, all these things, and they just stopped it. They completely stopped it because the congestion. So I think there's definitely a pain point. And
I mean,
glad you guys
Solana
are
has
trying to
come a
solve this.
long way. If you remember, like last cycle, it was down for hours. So this time, I
Yeah,
would say
a
it's
lot
been
better, a lot
a lot
better.
more battle tested, but we can offer even additional relief if there is peak traffic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I also wanted to talk about like your fundraising stories. So you guys raised $11 million from top backers, right? Founders Fund and Pantera, right? Or the lead investors.
Yes, it was co-led by Founders Fund and Pantera.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about like the fundraising journey? Because I'm sure like because I have a lot of founder friends who tune in this like podcast. They're trying to raise their seed round, their pre-seed, and I think you guys did a pretty good job. Like, what are some good lessons that you guys learned? What are some things that you guys did well, right? Like closing like top tier backers.
I think it for our team, it comes down to integrity and trust, that I think what our investors are appreciate from, at least from the many years I've been in crypto. I'd like to think I've always maintained the utmost integrity. We've handled client assets closely, and there were many opportunities where if you wanted to make a move, you could have benefited hugely from it, but I never did because that's not why I'm in the space. I
Love
think
that.
our investors really appreciate that because at this early stage, I mean, I've been on the investor
Yeah.
side as well. At this very early stage, you're just really looking for a team that is driven by the right reasons. That's not going to rug, first of all, right? And has the vision to and the experience to take the project to where it is. So I think that I'd like to think my track record in crypto and my co-founder's track record in the more traditional finance space gave our investors a lot of confidence. in terms of who we are, because it's easier to say that, but it's difficult to prove that over years.
With time.
Exactly. And I think second of all, just what the experience have brought me, at least, again, over the last 7 years, gone through a few cycles, is the ability to, at least I'd like to think, the ability to manage risk more properly. I've seen a lot of
So many
different
stories.
situations. I know, like I can't even count.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, right, can this team survive? Do they have the right mindset, the right management to survive any situation and keep on building what they're building? I think that's probably what investors look for the most in early stage teams. And then I think there's also the personal relationship. So both Joey at Founders Fund, who was at Pantera, and also Paul and team at Pantera, I've worked with them very closely for last 6 years. They were early investors at Amber as well. So
That's awesome.
Again, I think they really do know me personally. So that made it easier as well.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So as someone who's been in this space for multiple cycles, right? Like, what do you think about like the market is right now? Because obviously there's a lot of like newcomers, right? Especially because the meme coin season, people joined, people got rugged, and some people probably stayed because they think this new casino is fun enough. But like, but still, I think there's a lot more than new casinos in crypto, right? So, and also there are builders, but the builders are suffering, especially the Ethereum builders. So like what are some good lessons that you learned, or some angles that you're able to see, right? What's going on in our space that you believe like it's good to share with probably newcomers?
I think it's important to put things into perspective. So you think things are grim now? Yes, relatively. But I remember the days of, when ETH was below $80 in 2018. The question is not, okay, where is ETH price going to be? It's almost like, is ETH going to be here tomorrow? I remember 2020 March 12th, like literally, I guess 5 years ago, Bitcoin was going to probably hit zero on BitMEX on the perp side if BitMEX didn't go down at that time.
Remember that.
There's zero bit side liquidity. Everybody is scared. I've never seen even like long-term Bitcoin holders, miners, being that scared before. But it was the diamond hands that really captured opportunities then. But back then it was almost like existential crisis, right? The question is, do we even have an industry tomorrow? But we're long past that. If you look at what has happened in the last just year or two with Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETF, global financial institutions come into the space, they don't take their moves lightly. So it's almost like we don't have to question whether or not Bitcoin or Ethereum is going to be here tomorrow. It's almost like, okay, which part of the cycle we are, what can we do now, what are the problems that needs to be fixed, and how do we address that? So putting that into perspective, I hope this gives the builders now a lot more comfort. But because the space is a lot more mature, so it's much difficult. It's no longer like, oh, you have an idea, you do an ICO, and then you can suddenly get some funds. But I think that's also a sign of growth, and I think now is still as a good time as ever to be a builder. You have to learn to filter out some of the noises. Otherwise, you can just really be sucked into price movement all day. So my advice, both through difficult times, both through good times, building through difficult times, actually build more of your character. Don't pay attention to the short-term noises. Don't put leverage. Don't trade with leverage. Make sure you can sleep at night.
Always no one tips. Never use any leverage.
Yeah, because
I remember the back old days. Like, you go.
I was gonna say, or just I think everybody has different risk appetite. Just do not put too much of a position, too big of a position that you cannot sleep at night, that you have to wake up and check your prices. As long as you don't have
I think
I agree. For 99%
0.9% of the population just avoid leverage overall. Like if you're not like the top 0.1 trader, like who look at the chart
unless you're
and
committed to
make
really
move,
looking at
hundred
things
percent,
24/7,
100%.
then yeah.
I remember like the old days. I was like a junior in college, right? I was started. That's the first time I touched ever trading. 50x to the A altcoin. I lost my senior year tuition like by like 10 minutes. Like everything is gone. That
Well,
was like
everyone has to pay their tuition. I
100%.
remember what stupid trades I did when I first. It was definitely some
Super fun.
altcoins, but you learn your lesson quickly and you move on from there.
100%. I think for everyone in the space, it's like one time you must get like liquidated at least once, and your wallet must be stolen or hacked at least once. And once those two lessons are paid, like you're good. You're good to go. You graduated.
Exactly.
Crypto 101. So
Exactly. Or if
yeah,
you run a
you
business, maybe you'll be involved in some sort of bankruptcy
oh man.
procedure.
I hope you guys never
Being a
go through that.
creditor, likely, but the amount of people that are very familiar with bankruptcy laws because they have claims everywhere, it's actually kind of funny.
that it is. So where are we at this cycle? Where are we at this market? What do you think?
It's I think that's always the million or billion dollar question, right? People feel like we're towards the end of the so-called bull market, but if you really look at it, Bitcoin aside, there was really not a bull market for alts at all. Kind of like
Agreed, because people are saying
like
the bull is on chain, right? The meme coins and stuff.
exactly. It's the Bitcoin or the long tail meme coin.
Yes,
But yeah, I think for Ethereum and the altcoin market, there hasn't even been a bull market. So I think that's essentially the question, right? Are we going to see another sort of 4-year cycle where everything moves in tandem? I think the question is, the answer is already no. So then if you're looking at these assets separately, because investors are different. So for Bitcoin, it is the big US institutions with size. For meme coins, it's the retail who are tired of buying multi-billion VC coin launches and just having to go down 90%, right? They'd rather take their chances at smaller cap meme coin, which is almost similar to the ICO era. And then we don't have any liquidity for the, I guess, the middle of the pack.
the economy
Where are
is
we in the
bad.
cycle? Where are we in the cycle? I think we're at a cycle where, again, there's just no liquidity. So unless that changes, we might be here for a while. And the only way that changes, just given, I think, the sheer size of the market cap now, definitely needs to be big stimulus coming from macro policies. So
Interest rate.
is Trump playing a 3D chess game where he needs to force the Fed to lower rates by
I saw that. I saw that conspiracy.
by kind of like shocking short-term U.S. economic outlooks? I don't know what kind of 3D 4D chess is going on there, but that seems to be the belief of some of the traders that I speak to. So I guess we'll see. But a good thing is now I'm back on the building side, no longer trading every day. Then at least you're long-term optimistic, which I am. And a lot of it is the short-term noises.
That's actually really like the traders I'm talking to are extremely anxious every single day. The builders I'm talking to, like they're like chilling, right? They know it, like Bitcoin, Ethereum is not going anywhere, and Solana too probably. So I like that. I like that. Wait, there's a question I really wanted to ask you, but my brain got. 1
Talk too
second.
much about meme coin.
Yes. Interesting. All right, I will ask you that once my brain picks back. But like for now, can you please share some really controversial hot takes that you have for our space lately? It can be about what you are building at Altius. It can be like overall, general.
Hot takes. I guess what Altius is building is less of a hot take, but more of an ambitious project. I believe everybody wants the same end goal of having performance chains that can interrupt with each other with good UI UX. But the hot take I have, well, I might actually get dinged for it, but
let's go.
Speaking of Ethereum, I think the core Ethereum community or teams are recognizing that things need to change, and there is the institutional push with Etherealize and some of the new efforts. I applaud that, but I'm not sure if they're getting the right messaging out, because I have worked with, I've been at TraFi institutions. I've worked with a lot of them in the past at Amber, spending 6 years essentially trying to convince these players to get into crypto, right? And then the reason that I understood Bitcoin is because the digital gold narrative is just easy to understand.
Extremely
makes
simple.
Sense. And it took 10 years of drilling that narrative down for them to finally accept it and understood. With Ethereum, there's just been so many different messages.
The world computer, the decentralized,
which I actually believe in.
Same. I love that. I love the fact that they're building that.
Right? Be the next internet, be the next infrastructure for everything to live on chain. But then there was the ultrasound money that quickly got into infinite gardens. Like, try to pitch infinite gardens to
that's fucking crazy. Oh my god. No, that one is not gonna. That's not. I just know for sure that one is not gonna make it.
And then I think now there is more of an institutional push. I think maybe kind of aligning back to where the world computer narrative is, but the core message has still been around decentralization, which I personally believe in. But I hate to say it, but I don't think institutions really care.
They don't give a shit. Yes, they don't care.
Decentralization, because Ethereum has hundreds of thousands of validators. So what does that mean, right? I think it needs to go a step further to really explain that. And it's difficult because the core Ethereum builders, that's really what their beliefs are built on. So the question is, right, who are the right people, the right team that we need for Ethereum to push forward into the new era?
I think it's the apps.
Answers for
the
that.
apps.
But
the apps building on Mega ETH. That's probably it.
Are they coming to Ethereum? Like, all of the new builders, young grads I'm speaking to, they are gravitating towards Solana because
I think so.
Support there, right? The Solana Foundation helps them out right away. It's easy. It's like, one set of. We can talk about monolithic versus modular all we want, but ultimately it makes it easier to start. So how does Ethereum community solve that? And say everybody go builds on Ethereum L2, what does that mean for Ethereum L1, right? So I think it's definitely a lot of questions that needs to be answered.
There need to be like a straight narrative, clear message.
Like, everybody has to agree what essentially is Ethereum and what to go from there. I
agree with you. Like, two things I wanted to share. The first thing is decentralization. Like, the really sad thing about that is, like, we in the space for many years, we know decentralization matters, but people only care about decentralization at extreme crisis. I'm talking about like probably worldwide wars or AGI eras here. The AI is trying to like really terrible things happens when people start to realize, okay, now I know why we need decentralization. So that is like a pretty, I don't know, it's a pretty sad thing, right? But like I think, yeah, we do have to find a better pitch.
It is. I think decentralization, or even privacy, was more of a luxury after you understand 100%. This or you already own the assets. But how do you convince them to get through the door in the first place?
Yes. The second thing I wanted to share is, I think there are some good apps, because just before I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to focus on Solana ecosystem too. But I think lately there are some really cool applications that are building on Mega ETH, like the L2, that are actually pretty innovative. So I think like we can check them out. Like, there's like the trading trend marketplace and etc.
So exactly right. That's sort of the what high performance infrastructure can bring. It is new promises, new primitives, whether it's DeFi or else. So can we bring that to Solana and how best we can bring that. I think that's what we're all focused on.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. I remember the questions I wanted to ask you earlier. Okay, so VC coins. We talked about VC coins. So you guys, by definition, right? You guys are a VC-backed project, right? Let's say if you guys wanted to launch a token in the future, right? What will the strategy be? Or a better question probably is like, what do you think about VC coins in general, right? Because obviously they exist for a reason, but they're not doing well in this cycle because the retail investors don't want to buy it. What are some things that you think, right? Also from your like all these years at Amber, so you probably have like a really good answer. Like what are the VC coins, VC backed project? What are things they should do to make the retail investors started to buying what they are building? Because what they build, like a lot of them still have like long-term value, I believe, right? But like people just like saying it, as long as your VC back, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm gonna short you. I'm gonna short the shit out of you, right? That's what. Like
yes, that's a sad reality. But the problem is not the VC model. I still believe in this model because for us to build an ambitious project, it's difficult to say we're going to fund it all ourselves, and that's why VCs exist. It is to support early stage founders to try something outrageous and to build something good at the end of the day. So I don't think it's the VC model that's broken, but essentially I think it's the value capture. It mostly happened in private markets, right? You could see companies at pre-seed stage, maybe uh, $20 to $50 million valuation, and they'll race all the way to multi-billion. And when retail traders actually get access to buying the token, they're
couple
already
billion dollars.
buying at a couple $1 billion.
That is wild.
And it is wild versus like meme coins, fair launches. Why is fair launch in fashion? Not because they're building something incredibly innovative, but it's because retail believe that they have a better shot at this, right? They could be closer to the inner cabal perhaps than the VC cabal who had just captured most of the value of growth of the projects already. I think that's probably the part that needs to be rethink.
So
Maybe
lower
teams
valuation.
to realizing that maybe you don't need to excessively raise. Maybe you need to start thinking about your community, about opening up access, which is why there are platforms like Echo or Legion, sort of like the coin list crowd,
Yes.
sale, right? In the past, that lets other investors, smaller investors, to be able to participate along the way. So it's not gated access all the way till you launch, right? So I think that is probably the part we need to look at more than a VC model itself.
I agree with that. I think the key is to make more retail investors to participate and grow with the company at a more reasonable, fair valuation, right? So that is because like the meme coins themselves, they're problematic too, right? Right now they're exactly same as the VC model, right? Like the dive spot in really low price and they dump on.
Exactly.
So that's actually the same gameplay. So the meme coins are not the solution. I think finding a more sustainable way, like exactly what you said. So I agree with that.
And I think that is the promise of crypto, right? Being able to be a community member and grow with the project from day one, and that's what we want to cultivate at Altius as well. To have a good balance between obviously having the right backers, the runway we need, but also not going excessively at it. There are projects who raced humongous rounds for headline or to price the TGE, but I think most founders have to realize TGE is not the end goal. It is the
Oh my
only
God, that's
one.
such an important line. That's such an important line. I think all the crypto founders need to know. Like the TG
Yes,
is not the
because
end.
it doesn't stop there. Like it actually
It's
only
not.
starts there.
That's so true. It's not the start of your endless dump. It's the start of your endless building. That's what it should be.
Exactly. So I think that's also maybe from the mentality of founders.
I really appreciate that, and thanks for sharing. On the next question, we're heading to the end, by the way, but like the next question is the most interesting question of this entire episode. What I think. So it's the part where you share the one Tales of Web3 story, like of you, like all these years of your crypto journey. Like, what is the one single most interesting story that you can remember, right? It can be about risk taking, it can be about fundraising, it can be about, anything that's full of unexpected twists, or really just something silly or fun. I want this to be something that the audience can remember is you, Annabelle, did in the past that shaped who you are today. So the stage is yours.
Wow, that's a big one because there's obviously so many.
I know, right?
So many. But I guess, yeah, I reflect a lot on the journey so far, especially last year when I first started building Altius with my co-founders, and thinking about the journey that really brought me into the space in the beginning, the people, the team, especially the AirSwap team, and the reason that we are able to stay so close together even after so many years. Many people moved on to build MetaMask Swap. I think that really
Oh,
helped
nice.
Consensus and MetaMask. A lot of people at either Coinbase or there's people joining Avalanche, starting new businesses. People are co-founders together, and I thought of the moment that I actually got to meet the team. I think I mentioned that yes, there's the Carnegie Mellon alumni connection. But being in New York, met them socially actually through Burning Man camp connection.
Let's go.
So it is.
That's so fun.
I know, right? It is different experiences, like completely not even related to crypto work, that brought me together with the team, and everything happened from there. So, which is why I really appreciate New York being a very diverse community, because the Burning Man camp was a lot of musicians, a lot of people doing different things.
Crazy
There's a lot
stuff.
of founders, entrepreneurs, yes, and I think that is what made that experience, that cohort of people, so special. Um, and then ended up building business together, and still staying close friends after so many years. And I thought that was a really beautiful story.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So you're a burner too.
I was. Now I'm just a little far away from the playa, but maybe one day.
One day, one day. All right. One last question for you before we wrap up. So please tell us everything about or everything on Altius roadmap, right? What is the ultimate vision? And more importantly, how retail users, right, the end users, how they can support this vision now.
Yes, so we are still early stage, but we have just finished building the core execution engine and now starting integration with our design partners. So hopefully you'll hear about our partnerships very soon and be able to see the mainnet upgrades that uses Altius stack to power the execution layer very soon.
Nice.
And we'll continue to expand to more partner chains, more app chains, different VMs, different stacks, and build towards the shared execution layer later, second half of the year. And we do have our Discord channels, TG channels. Please join and be part of our journey. We want to have community members that grow with us from day one. And we actually will be announcing some interesting ambassador programs soon. So please
stay tuned for that.
Yes. And we just appreciate any community feedback along the way. The apps that you guys want to see that will drive a lot of the decisions and architecture designs behind Altius.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. And here we wrap up the Tales of Web3 Season 3, Episode 11 with Annabelle. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.